It's an areological, autoerotical, tubular, bovular joy. An exposular, regional, bachical, pouchular, fun for girl and boy. A latissimal, dorsical, hung like a horsical, caliphalygical ball.
The most bunular, funnular.
Fruit of the lumula.
Frenchical, tongular.
Wabada, bobular, bunular, fruit of the lubular, frenchical, tongular, wabada, bobular, lessical, orbical, smirtus, bobular, tosa, particular ball. Hey!
Hey guys, how's the movie?
Oh, it's breastica, bubical, chestica, mammical, pendular, globular. Oh, for crying out loud, movie sound.
You gotta do your vocal warm-ups, man.
I got stretchy skin. It doesn't really warm anything up. It just does this.
I feel like I was too high. I was too stoned at the beginning of the podcast last night, I think. And I had a whole page full of shit in front of me that I was trying to, like, get through, and I think this will be... the one last night was good, but actually, I'm actually too stoned tonight. This isn't going to be good either.
No.
No.
Well, this is more...
My bad, dude.
This is actually going to be a reversal of last night, because last night you were kind of, like, talking about everything that you know.
I was trying to. I was fucking trying.
I was the one that was listening and giving my input, and now there's going to be a flip turn reversal.
Flip dive, yeah.
Flip dive, suicide plancha, missing.
Yep. So this is about wrestling, this podcast?
Wrestling. All of them that disappeared.
It's about aliens in wrestling.
Aliens?
Paranormal.
Illegal?
Yeah, there's those.
Yeah.
People violate their work visas all the time and get banned from the United States. Have to go back to Canada, Mexico.
Isn't that the same place? It's like Texaco. That's a gas station.
Canada is Mexico South, they call it.
Yeah.
That's what Scott Steiner called it. You ever see that promo?
Mexico South?
He's talking shit.
No, Mexico North.
Mexico North, yeah. he's talking shit to Petey Williams. He says, Petey Williams,
that's right.
You're from Canada, and we all know that's Mexico North. And that's his idea of, like, being a good guy. Like, what the? You can't do that, Steiner.
Whatever. It made sense in his, but I still love his mathematical equation.
I thought you were going to say mathematical butchering of the English language.
Oh, my God. That's gold, but he does that so often. But when he did that whole equation, it's a... normal man. Hey, one-on-one match has a 50-50 chance. I don't know the whole fucking thing, but it's just...
If I'm 100%, 110% the man you are, that means... Yeah, I got you. What paranormal characters have there been in wrestling? There's a indie wrestler now named Chris Statlander that is an alien. She wears, like, some sort of face paint and says, like, Area 51. I
saw that!
She's on the rise, yeah.
I did see... I didn't even... That's a wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Chris Statlander or Stratlander, something like that.
I actually saw that in that Storm Area 51 bullshit thing.
Really?
Someone had a picture of, like, it was like, what if we find this in Area 51? I'm like... I was like, wow. I didn't know she was actually a wrestler.
Go raid the place and bring home a female alien wrestler that'll beat your ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know she was a wrestler. What are the paranormal ones?
The Yeti.
Let's go back to...
The Yeti.
Oh, Jesus.
The Yeti.
That mummy-looking thing?
Yeah. That's paranormal. He's a Bigfoot. Wasn't there a wrestler named Bigfoot?
No, there was one called Ness, though, Loch Ness, and that was giant haystacks.
Oh, really?
The giant haystack. Not Haystacks Calhoun. Giant haystacks. He was, what, 6'11", like, I think he was like 42 stone, or it was like 580 some pounds or some shit like that, or 620. Fucking huge. The guy's massive.
Tall and fat.
Guy that wrestled over in England. Somehow this turned into a wrestling podcast, but he wrestled over in England, and there's videos on YouTube of him facing Andre the Giant, and that's something to see.
They slam each other?
There was well, that was back in the 70s. That was before it was a big deal of Andre getting slammed and everything. Like, but it was just cool to see him. Like, he faced like another wrestler over in England, Big Daddy. Was huge over there. He's big. He's like 6'6", like 400 plus pounds, but he's a big face over there. Older guy, but this is the 70s, so they didn't have all this jacked physique back then.
All right, this is a tie-in from the wrestling to the topic of the podcast.
All right.
Do you believe in goats?
That stare at men? I mean, the stare at goats?
Yeah.
Yeah, do I believe in the goats that stare at men? Let's talk about them.
I've never seen that movie. It looks
I've never
good though.
seen that movie either. I think it's a prequel.
Do you think RoboCop exists as he did in WCW? Speaking of paranormal characters that were in wrestling, do you think there's RoboCops roaming Detroit?
Did you see him in
The
WCW?
the statue comes to life at night,
He's
or Peter Weller or
What
whatever.
about Rocky's
Not Peter
statue
Weller.
in Philly?
I think they took that down,
They
right?
moved it, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To what, a boxing museum or something
don't
like
know.
that?
I don't know. Maybe.
So we're investigating 311 today.
Yeah. Fuck that band. Now we talked about it's called the Missing 411.
Now
That's a series of books, but what the series of books is it's about a large quantity of missing persons in national parks around the world, but more so what this focus is in the North America. So not just in the United States, but just all through Canada. The series of books is written by David Paulandes. He's an ex-detective, investigative journalist. It's about a cluster. Well, through his investigation and everything, he found that he started mapping out where all these disappearances took place, and what he found is there's tons of clusters that surround North America, going through all the Rockies, up into Oregon, up into Canada, down through to Arizona, New Mexico, all through there. And then when you get to the center of the United States, all in the plains, all along the Mississippi Valley and everything, there's nothing, or virtually nothing. And then you get back over to the East Coast, up the Appalachian Trail, all the way up through, Maine. There's a whole group of clusters again, especially around the Great Lakes. A large quantity of them around there. So really right in our backyard, which that's one of the reasons why I found this fascinating when I stumbled across this a few months ago. That and the fact that I'm a first responder and I'm trying to get into forest rangery for search and rescue. Like that, I'd love to do that. Trying to get into that. So I really found it interesting. Plus I'm a big paranormal buff. So yeah,
you could almost say that you want to believe.
I want to.
Now, quick question about these clusters.
All
Are
right.
they all in areas with particularly dangerous terrain, or is there any of them that exist in areas where it's just all hikeable, easily flat areas?
It's a mix and match.
Okay.
It's really a mix and match. One thing that was found is like 80% of them are around within like 200 miles of a large body of water, which that's a really broad statement to say. But I guess, and that's being not like, Caroga Lake, large body of water. Like I'm talking about like the Pacific, Atlantic Ocean, the Great Lakes.
And if somebody drowns nowadays, I imagine it's relatively easy to scan the lake, the body of water for the body. So bodies are probably easily detectable now, so you couldn't just write it off as saying that all the terrain was dangerous if it is indeed not. And if you try to write it off by saying it's all by bodies of water, it's good.
Well, yeah, what makes these, you bring that up, and that's part of the point here of what this actually whole thing is what makes these cases interesting is, all right, they're clustered basically in a horseshoe shape almost around North America, but when it comes to like finding or like search parties looking for these missing people and everything.
Well, all the ones on the south are killed by Mexican drug lords.
Yeah,
so
they don't count.
It's on either side of the country.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's why there's like this V that's like there's asterisks next to everything.
And the Cubans in Florida.
They don't count either.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they do. In elections they do. Anyway, so search dogs, bloodhounds that they bring out to look for these victims, they usually find no trail, no track, nothing. And this is just shortly there after these people go missing. Or they'll pick up a trail and it'll lead them to either where they were going, like in some instances there was someone's like, all right, I'm going to go for an hour or 2 hour hike toward this lake.
Oh,
or
people
this
on that
mountain.
short of a hike are included in the disappearances? Hour or two? Wow.
It goes even further. There are people that are walking in a group and they go over a small crest of a hill and then they're just gone.
Mm-hmm.
with no trace.
So there's no blood, and even if even if somebody were to be lost in the woods after you're lost for a certain amount of time, say 24 hours, I imagine you would start shedding. You throw your jacket. You try to start a fire. You throw the wrappers to something. Your flashlight dies. You're sick of carrying it around, so you leave that somewhere, and then I don't know.
One would think so, but it gets interesting. Like, I'll touch on that a little bit. So, all right, yeah. So they go missing without any trace, or when a bloodhound does pick something up, like I said, it'll lead them to where they were going. Or in some cases, there have been bloodhounds that have tracked a trail and have led them to a sheer cliff, like just a face of like a 300-400 foot cliff, where not like an embankment where, all right, with without climbing equipment you can get up it, but like sheer rock ledge cliffs where there's no way they get up there, and then when they get to the top, there's no trail, so it's like they just up and disappeared. And then other cases where parties have search parties find victims. If they do find them and they're deceased, they find them in areas where they've looked tons of times, hundreds of times sometimes, where they was scoured over and over and over, and then just suddenly right off 20 feet, 30 feet off a trail.
There's a body laying there?
Yeah, they'll just find them.
Has it ever been tampered with or anything like that?
They don't know.
What's the cause of death on the body?
Most of the time it's either there's no cause of death, or it's just unknown, or a lot of times what autopsies will find, or what they won't find, they'll list the cause of death as natural or due to exposure.
Due to exposure. So death from heat or something
Cold,
like that?
most
Cold,
of the time.
yeah.
Most of the time, those are with cold.
Oh, of course.
If they're found alive, which there has been cases of found alive.
Where they've searched before? They find people alive in places they've searched before?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes not.
People without recollection of what happened?
Exactly.
Huh.
They have no idea what happened. And they say, well, where'd you go? And it's like, I don't know. There's one case where I didn't have it. I have 4 different cases listed here. I didn't put this one in because this one stuck with me so well. I could just kind of touch on it. This guy in a hiking party they're going through a field. I don't know if this is out west. I think this one was out west. They was going through a field. He said the last thing he remembers is taking a step into the field, and then he suddenly came to, and this is where it just got weird. He came to, it was 4.5 miles away from where he was disappeared. When he disappeared, he ended up being gone for an extended period of time. His bag and gear was found 400 miles from where he disappeared.
Get the fuck out of here.
He showed up 4.5 miles from where he disappeared. A month and a half, it was like 6 weeks later, wearing clothes that weren't his, with gear that wasn't his. No idea how he got where he was. No idea where he was.
And he had been gone for that long?
Had no recollection of anything.
Did he have a beard? Was he clean shaven?
I don't know.
Like, that's important.
But there is things that are like that are important, and that goes with the children that they find. A lot of people, most of the cases that are missing.
That's where they always run when they get out of the trunk.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
go right to the damn woods.
Fuckers.
They're hard to find in there. They're wiry.
Most of the time when they find, there are people that go missing, they find they're either elders or kids, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. There's a lot of the kids that were fine. All right, there's one case of a kid that was, he disappeared. I have one case in here. I'm trying to remember a different one. He was with his, I don't know if his brother or sister, but his mom was paying close attention to them. And then they're only maybe 20 or 30 yards away from him at a camp. His mother just took her eye off him for a split second, and then the brother, I think it was 2 boys. The brother came up, and the mother's like, "Where's your brother?" And he said, "The bear man came and took him." Now, this is where it gets like a little crazy, but again, I'm just like, "Oh yeah, bear man."
You bet there was.
Tell me more about that bear man.
Grizzlor.
Yeah.
A real life Grizzlor.
So he says the bear man took him, he wanted to take him, and so they have a search party. They're looking for him. They can't find anything. They search for him for like a week or week and a half, couple weeks. No trace of him come up. It's like 2 or 3 months. I think it was like 2 or 3 months later. It was extended. It's a long time later. A hiker ends up finding. Finding the body in the V of a tree. And when they discover him, they find him. The autopsy's done. He had died. He had maybe been dead for a couple days. And the thing that was interesting is he had no socks on. And that's another thing that's like a common reoccurring thing. This is when they find him, there's no shoes or socks on their feet. But the kid had no shoes and socks on. He was 14 or 15 miles away from where he disappeared. Now, mind you, he's only like 2 or 3 years old.
Wow.
And he had no shoes or socks on. He's like 14 or 15 miles away from where he disappeared. And the thing that was really fucking weird is when they did the autopsy, they found cooked meat and berries in his digestive system. So he was being taken care of, evidently, by someone or something.
Bigfoot cooking on an open fire, you think? So aside from alien abduction and bear man, is there any other theories that they lean on for this?
The whole aliens and the whole paranormal thing, you're going to get those group of people that go right with that. I am more on the, I guess, first responder side where I have no idea. I am at a complete loss. That's why I'm just so fascinated with it, because I have not a clue.
That's very, very strange, and this is all documented to people.
These are documented cases. Now, you'll go out there and you'll find there are cases out there that just go really stretch the limit. And said there was one story I heard about a guy like there's a search and rescue team going out into the woods, and they found some lady who lost their husband. They couldn't find the husband, but when they found her, she was standing at a wall of a forest, like wide-eyed, just blankly staring through the forest almost, and they brought her back. Well, the whole time the team was bringing her back, she was mumbling and kept looking behind the team and said, no, you can't have them, and just rambling on and on and on. And eventually the woman looked to one of the guys that was there and said, you have to hurry up because he doesn't like the scar on the back of your neck. And the guy that was carrying him has this tiny scar under like a collar in the back of his neck that no one would notice. So that freaked him out. And when they got back to wherever they were, like, the staging area for the
operation, the
rescue recovery, a couple of the guys went back out and they wanted to backtrack a mile or two back into the woods to see if they could find the husband. Well, when they went back, they split up. Only not like a significant distance or anything like that. They split up, and the guy that had the scar on the back of his neck said,
"Oh, he went back into the woods."
He heard.
Oh, he didn't go. Okay, he did.
He was back there. Yeah, they were back about a mile or so back in, and he said he heard like whispering, chattering all around. He said the only way he can describe it is it sounded like a mechanical cat, like almost like buzzing or something like that. And he said when he turned around, he goes, there was a fucking guy backflipping through the forest straight at me. He's like missing every bush, every branch, every log on the ground, just backflipping. And he goes, I raised my gun.
Jet Li.
He goes, I raised my gun, and I like just without even thinking, I was like, stop, or it's like, I will shoot you. It was like the guy said he goes, completely ignored me, just kept going. So he goes, against my better judgment, I fired at the ground next to him. And the guy, as soon as 2 shots went off, the guy stopped, turned around, and backflipped back into the woods. He goes, and I got the fuck out of there.
Huh.
That was like that. I was like, whoa. So there are stories like that out there. There's
Now, is this included in this writer's book that you're talking about?
No.
Okay,
no.
that's just
separate. That's just separate stories. No, the guy that I'm talking about just keeps it pretty much grounded.
I've already gotten goosebumps 3 times since we started this podcast, by the way, and I'm not sure if we can continue. I think we ought to pull the plug on this one. Let's call it a night, everybody. I'm getting scared. Getting spooky.
Yeah, spooky. Yeah, Fonz Pond. What are you gonna do?
Franz Pond?
Fonz Pond.
What's that?
That's the Insane Clown Posse song there from the first of the second set of Joker's card. Anyway, it's spooky.
Okay.
I got 4 different cases. Wait a minute.
Cases of what?
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. No recollection of what happened. Also, if they find few remains, or if they find them in good condition, fed berries or by Wolfman, whatever. All right. A lot of times, also, if it's not like old people and children, they'll find that highly experienced woodsmen, hunters, and survivalists go disappeared. That's not fucking proper English, but whatever.
They go disappeared?
Yeah, they go disappear. They're going them disappeared.
They disappeared our jobs.
Yeah.
They're just gone.
So yeah, that's that. Any thoughts so far before I get into these? I got 4 cases. I'm going to run through each one. Let's just kind of elaborate on each one before I go to the next.
I would say that going along with
A lot of fuckery out in them woods.
wanting to believe, I would say there's not a solid...
There is no solid anything that can, like, evidence that's paranormal, there's nothing. And then evidence that it's, like, foul play, that's a thing, there's nothing either.
Now, if this guy's written 6 books, the incidents have had to have come under enough scrutiny where people can actually back check the information and come to their, I'm sure enough people...
Here's an interesting thing is when this guy, when he okay, so there's a lot of different places, like cities, towns, like wherever, they have a list of missing persons. You can get those. You can go down to like Montgomery County, Albany County. You can go whatever and say, "Where's your list of missing persons?" And they'll have it. Well, he went to I can't remember where he called. Wherever you get this fucking list, he wanted a list.
Census Bureau or something.
He wanted the list of all the missing person cases in all the national parks.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, in Yosemite National Park out west, because a lot of them take place out there. A majority of them take place for the West Coast take place out there.
That's interesting.
And they asked
That's
him,
UFO country in the desert.
Jesus. And they ask him why, and because he's a journalist, he doesn't have to legally give them a reason. They just have to fork it over. And he's like, he goes, "That's funny. Why would you ask?" And he's like, "Oh, we're just curious." So he's like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm doing research." And they said, well, they asked him, it's like, "Well, we can't give you that." It's like, "Well, I'm a journalist." So he just kind of overturned their ruling or whatever of not giving it to him. So they did research on him quick, and they said, "Well, you're
Hold on, we can't give you that." Oh, I'm gonna write about it though.
Yeah,
Give me. That's funny.
They looked him up and they said, "Well, your books aren't in enough bookstores or whatever," which is a completely bullshit thing, and he knew that. So he countered back and he said, "Okay." He goes, "Well, if I wanted to pay," which they straight up just didn't want to give him any list. He said, "Well," they said, "Well, we don't have a list."
Oh, certainly, it's bad publicity.
Well, they said, "Well, we don't have a list. Every fucking place has a list." And he said, "Well, if I wanted to pay to have you make a list, how much would it cost?" And they said $1.4 million, which is complete bullshit too.
That's 100. That's
Especially if you have a fucking intern. Here's $500. You have a month. Put together a list.
$10,000 per name on the list.
Seriously. And so, yeah, he couldn't get any list for any kind of missing persons or anything, which I thought was kind of interesting. Another thing that's interesting is more people that go missing, the FBI become more and more involved, which is kind of odd because the FBI don't normally get involved with missing person cases.
Really?
Not normally. They will, but local authorities have to really press for it. So, yeah, but they get involved without being called. So that's interesting. I don't know if it's because it's like an influx of it or what, but which it's not saying that, oh, there's something paranormal. What's that saying is that there's an odd number of disappearances and they're trying to put together like
Oh yeah, they obviously want to
profiles.
know if it's a serial killer.
Yeah, they're putting together profiles to figure out what the fuck is going
My
on.
thoughts on it so far is that people are certainly out there killing each other in the woods. Hike out there and live by yourself for 3 days and wait to see some people camping and isolate one of them. And there's people killing each other in the
They
woods.
have found people like homeless guys and stuff out there that have lived in the woods, like crazy ass fuckers.
Murders
That
on the
stumbled-
Appalachian Trail and-
because one thing in national parks is you can't build any permanent structure on any national park, any kind of national land or anything like
So
that.
if they have a tarp nailed to boards
Yep,
between
if there's
four
any
trees,
kind of
they
shack,
find that
that's
and
not supposed to be there. And
bust it
there's a
down.
lot of park rangers that'll go through, and one of their things is like, if you come across that, you have to knock it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely people jacking each other in the woods. So at least a small percentage of them could be just somebody
Absolutely.
meticulously kidnapping somebody and snatching them up. I think there's at least 1 or 2 House of a Thousand Corpses style things going on throughout the country at this time.
Absolutely. Who
And I think
knows?
there's at least one Evil Dead style cabin thing going on. And what about the
Necronomicon.
yeah, there's at least one of those. What are the odds in all the United States that there's not an evil cabin out in the woods possessing people? So I think, what do you think about like sinkholes in the ground? Somebody just steps in a weird spot and gets.
Absolutely. I mean, I fucking.
That's a small
if you're
percentage.
like a firefighter, police officer, EMT, like some of the calls that come across are just like I get them on my phone, and sometimes I'll get the call and I'll read it and be like, what? So crazier things have happened. So that's definitely in the realm of possibilities.
The Bigfoot thing is much more outlandish to me than the alien thing.
Actually, I would go vice versa, but you know.
Why are people blacking out Bigfoot? People do say that Bigfoot possesses telekinetic and other abilities.
Yeah, fucking Yeti was.
So Joe Rogan did a show for a year where he'd just take his buddies and they go out and investigate stupid shit. One of them was a Bigfoot episode. He said he spent like 2 months in the woods investigating Bigfoot, filming this episode.
That is my fucking. If I win the lottery big time, I'm like getting a party together. I'm going fucking out to Oregon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be on the 411 list.
Yeah, you could
But
video
I'm going
call
out
me.
there and I'm going hunting for
You
fucking.
you
Bigfoot.
video call me when you find him. I'll be at the resort, 20 miles outside the woods. But Rogan was saying how he got to talk to all these super fanatic Bigfoot enthusiasts, and he said one thing that a guy told him was that Bigfoot can mimic the sounds of other animals and appear as other animals.
I've heard.
And the guy
things
told an
like
extremely in-depth story, very impassioned
Detailed?
story. Yes.
Yeah.
And he said, 15 feet in the bushes to my right. He said something was tracking him, like tracking his 6. Wherever he went in the woods, something was behind him. He could never get it in front of him.
Right.
16 feet to my right up on an embankment, I heard a bullfrog. And it wasn't until a few hours later I realized that was a goddamn Bigfoot. And that guy meant it. And that was one of the pivotal moments of his life. And that actually happened for him. So some of them are batshit crazy. But if people are indeed blacking out in packs and alone and waking up huge amounts of time later, I would say it would be more so an alien thing, unless how's Bigfoot knocking them out?
Here's another one. When they find the bodies of the deceased, a lot of them they find them face down without shoes, sometimes without pants.
Well, that's
which that could be you.
House of a Thousand Corpses type thing.
But what they'll find is like they'll be missing jackets and shit like that out in the elements when it's cold. But then they'll find like the clothes near the body folded in like a stack.
People do get crazy when they're freezing to death and take their clothes off. I know that for a fact happens. I don't know why they would be
That
folded.
does happen. That is, yeah. And
Unless
that
they
is,
folded them in some sort of manic survival death throw, just craziness.
That is a there is case studies of that too.
Bigfoot ain't folding clothes either there.
When people get,
How does he know what it even looks like?
Listen, I've seen him in like Febreze commercials or some shit like that, so you never know.
The beef jerky ones?
That too, but no, there's another one where he's in like, I think it's a bed, like some mattress or something, like memory foam. I don't know.
That's a fucking porno you watch with Charlie, probably. Some of his furry shit. He's like, oh man, I thought this was Chewbacca. It's regular Bigfoot. And he's like, I don't want this. And you're like, don't throw it out. I'll keep
This
it.
is a dog.
I'll keep this later and watch it and laugh at it.
I got this. What the fuck is that?
There's Bigfoot porn.
I got this costume off Wish, and it fucking said it was Chewy, and it comes in, it's a goddamn Chihuahua.
When do you think the first recorded Bigfoot porno was? It had to be like shortly after the Bigfoot suit came out and like
What's
hit
today?
stores.
was that a couple weeks ago I did? I don't know.
The Japanese probably had King Kong porno in the 50s.
Are you kidding
bootleg.
me? 50s? You gave them 20 years. That's really generous. I'm sure they had that like when they found out about the movie.
They based King Kong on a fuck movie about a guy wearing a gorilla suit, just banging chicks and throwing them through cardboard buildings.
What the fuck?
That's a Godzilla I would watch.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for that one.
I would say more so aliens in this whole thing, though. I just think, well,
You know, if it's anything paranormal, it could be fucking anything.
I'd like to know a lot more about if they have beards, if their facial hair.
If you want to go by the paranormal thing, the most of the time what's mentioned isn't aliens or Bigfoot at all. It's skinwalkers. Mm-hmm. That's what's mentioned.
Firstly, sorry, before you go on, if you disappear for a month and a half and just click back in reality, take a shit in a Ziploc bag and bring it to the doctor and say, what was my last meal I ate? You know what I mean? Going off of what you said, what that kid had in his stomach. Kid had Twinkies from Texas and French toast from San Francisco. And
fuck, man, I went on a road trip.
Yeah, it's an international menu. No, that was just a Denny's you went to.
Well,
Skinwalkers.
conclusion is you eat like shit.
And you have diabetes. You're lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I blacked out.
That's where that foot went.
Oh, that's actually a story in one of them, but I'll get to that. It's the last one. All right. Yeah, so
Skinwalker.
they end up being skinwalkers, which that's...
What is that?
It's it's an entity that can mimic... You talking about Bigfoot mimicking sounds.
It was a goddamn skinwalker.
Can mimic sounds, mimic animals, but it looks like a deer crossed with... A deer that walks on its hind legs. But it looks like sort of demonic, I guess. Like that's kind of like the general,
like the Jägermeister deer.
Look, yeah. It looks that's like the general description, I guess, of what I got for it without bringing it. Like I'll just put it up there.
Skinwalker.
Yeah. I believe that's like a Native American folklore thing. Skinwalker. They can mimic sounds of people. They can mimic animal sounds. There's been like stories of skinwalkers mimicking gun sounds, zipper sounds of tents and shit like that. And
scary.
Well, the thing is, like they say, if you ever come across or a skinwalker comes across you, don't talk to it, don't look at it, don't acknowledge it. There's been like
scary.
I've listened to stories of like two people camping in the woods and they're in a tent and they wake up. It was a guy and a girl, and the guy wakes up in the middle of the night and looks at his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is just staring past him, behind him, petrified, terrified in fear. And he said he feels something breathing on his neck, like right on the back of his neck, and he hears it. And he said he was going to like reach for his gun or some shit like that, and she just mouthed to him no. And eventually, after he goes, it seemed like 10 to 15 minutes, but it was probably only like 30 seconds, it eventually left.
I'm not going camping anymore.
Are you kidding me? I hear all these shit. So I'm like, I want to fucking go out there and see this shit. I'm all on board.
You Skype me, bro, when that happens.
Dude, look. Monterey, I got one. Don't talk to it. I don't know if it'll Skype you back and possess you.
You call me by my radio name in the last moments of your life.
Monterey Jack.
The show would just be me
fucking
sitting here
quarantine off screen. I just go into the woods and like.
So Raw was pretty shitty, right, James? The return episode will be me sobbing for 45 minutes. Get 1 million views.
Just put like a figure in, like with a picture of me cut out and glued on the face.
Make Charlie wear your clothes and stuff. It's just not the same.
You smell like tacos. He never smelled like tacos. All right, I'll go. All right, here's the first case, which I just made notes on these, so I'll just kind of breeze through them. And case 1 in 1952 in Idaho. James Madison is the name. He was 67 years old. September 11th, these two guys, him and a friend of his, they go hunting. And James Madison, goes for water for the camp, which is only a couple hundred yards away. Guy doesn't come back. Second friend goes and looks for him that night, just going around looking for him that night. Goes back to the camp. Next morning he wakes up, looks for him, shouting his name, screaming his name, everything. Still doesn't find him. They go and get the Rangers. Now, the Ranger camp that they're in is 14 miles from where the camp was. The Rangers go look for him. They take it seriously, and they immediately go and call the sheriff. The sheriffs bring the bloodhounds in. That was September 11th into September 12th. September 24th, 4 hikers randomly find his body in the Salmon River, which is near where they were going, which was Salmon Lake. They find the body face down, 20 feet from shore in 18 inches of water, dead. 2 days later, a news article states death by exhaustion. He was found in his underwear and t-shirt, barefoot. The thing that was weird is when they found him barefoot, the soles of his feet were worn down to the bone, 15 miles from camp. He was dead 3 to 4 days.
So he ran 15 miles away from something in terror to the point that the bottoms of his feet
were wore down to the bone.
He ran 15 miles and then died of exhaustion going through the water.
67 years old.
Oh, wow.
15 miles from camp. But that was one of the more mild ones. That was just really...
Now, is there pictures of that? What year did that happen?
1952.
Ah.
Some of these go back to the 30s. I have one from the 30s in here, but they go all the way up to... There was actually a case January 2019, this past January. I actually just found out about it when I was listening to some stuff earlier. It was a kid, some younger kid. I can't remember the whole details. I just heard it once. So
I was actually thinking last week. I was walking some laps at work, and the whole building is a quarter mile. So you walk around it once or twice, and that's a mile.
Right.
Once around is a mile, actually. So I was thinking that there's people in here anywhere that, if forced, you have to run a mile as fast as you can, or you have to run for an hour, or else you'll die.
Right.
Shitloads of people would die.
Oh, yeah.
And I was actually wondering, with the ultimate motivation, how far could somebody go if they had to? How far could somebody who was 400 pounds or 67 years old run? And that's interesting to hear a statistic like that. At 67 years old in complete terror, you could potentially make it 27 miles running the skin off of your feet.
Yeah, I mean, you see, it's kind of a cliche thing in horror and thriller and stuff like that now, but people that are buried alive or wherever, and there's a classic thing of someone is buried, ends up coming back to life and starts scratching like the inside of the coffin.
Rings the bell, yeah.
Yeah, they open up the coffin, there's just scratch marks and their fingernails are missing and stuff because they're trying to get out. Mm-hmm. So if you're driven to that point of just utter terror...
What would you have to see in the woods to run until you gave out?
That's the thing, is like, what the fuck were you afraid? Like a bear, I mean,
just you'd have to see the devil, you'd have to see a monster.
Seriously, it would be something, I don't know, like maybe a fucking, like if I came across a black bear and it was charging me, yeah, that would make me fucking run like crazy too.
Or it could be a white bear.
But even that, like...
Doesn't matter.
Listen.
It could be any kind of bear.
All right.
Not a koala bear. I'd probably get attacked by it from it trying to grab it.
What if it was a koala? I love you, koala.
This is the first recordable koala fatality in the history of the world.
So what he died from? Koala attack?
He put it in his backpack.
Did I read that right? You'd think you spelled grizzly wrong. Oh, you didn't.
It's not a Kodak bear. It's a koala. Why were they in the...
What a bitch. Yeah, so that's first case.
That's something.
That one is odd.
From that long ago, being from 1952 and having such a cool flair to it, I would say that is something that could definitely be described as would easily fit into the slot of something that could be an old wives' tale. But if there's any shred of evidence to it, that's awesome.
These are documented.
Unbelievable. What would you have to see in the woods to run until you died of fear? If I saw an alien,
you know what it reminds me of? Tremors. The old man that goes up on top. What's his face there? Up on the power lines. He ends up dying up there. That's what it kind of reminded me of when I read it. Yeah. So, all right. Here's the second case. It's July 18th, 1943, Yosemite Park. Emerson Holt. He was 55 years old. All right. The main trail these guys are on.
Old men were just tougher back then. These guys are 55, 67, going camping and shit.
Yeah.
Now they're fucked.
Now, fucking kids don't even do it. So, my phone. All right. So, all right. This hunting or camping party is on the main trail, the valley floor of Yosemite Park. So it's a very beaten in, hard to mistake trail. All right. They're going on a hike near a lake. Merced Lake, I think that's what it is. Yeah. The path is basically a dirt road. You can't mistake it. It runs along Merced River. Emerson doesn't feel well. He's not in very good shape. So he says he doesn't feel well when they're going to the lake. He says he'll stay in place for a while his friends go on. They're going to end up coming back a couple hours later. But it ends up being about an hour later and they come back. Emerson's gone. The river that year is only a few inches deep throughout the entire area. It's a very dry year. There's no pools or no channels or anything for anyone to hide a body, so they rule out foul play because the guy can barely walk on his own. He can barely move long distance on his own. They're only gone an hour, and there's nowhere where they can really stash a body.
In the woods, or is it the plains, like in the?
It's a floor, Yosemite Park.
The floor, okay. So there's not a lot of vegetation.
Right.
They're okay.
Their search comes up empty-handed. July 23rd. Now the initial happening or whatever is July 18th. So July 23rd, article reads, search parties today continue to look for Emerson Holt, 55, of Riverside, whose disappearance in Yosemite National Park Monday is considered, quote, almost supernatural by the park superintendent, Frank Kindridge. Holt was never found. That one could be anything. I mean, that one could be just...
That's something though, even though it's antiquated as it is 1943, it's still a cool.
It was just that one was just
of,
a straight disappearance. Just the fact that he was never found.
And that's got to be a story because I'm sure it's in newspaper, it's in print. The local authorities pretty much just said it's crazy. It could be supernatural.
Yeah, well, the one who's the park superintendent said like he had no idea. No idea, just gone. That could have been anything. That could have been a wild animal coming, just picking him up, taking him off. You know, who knows? Who the fuck knows?
Pterodactyl.
A pterodactyl. Kind of fucking. That was a cartoon in the 80s. I can't remember what it was. Fuzzlers or something like that. It was like two animals combined together. I don't know, whatever. It's like one of those Care Bear kind of things. It was made into a toy line, as was everything in the 80s.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. All right, here's a third case. These next two cases are where they get kind of loopy. Like, well, you'll see.
Next thing you're gonna tell me a guy's doing fucking front flips.
No, corkscrew moonsaults. You were close. Start front.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Yeti. Why do they call him the Yeti? Is there anybody that fucking says a Yeti, or is that just like
Yeta?
It's the Yeti. Is it?
Listen, this is WCW, and they couldn't say Yeti because they know he wasn't just...
It's trademarked somehow.
No, he wasn't a white ape, giant gorilla man beast thing. It was a mummy.
I think he just read it wrong. No, it was a mummy once, and then, yeah, he was the mummy also, and he was still called the Yeti.
Wasn't that Reese?
Yep.
Yeah, it was Reese.
Yep.
That's right, it was Reese. Anyway, I don't know. Fucking WCW.
I forgot the question. So
wasn't a question.
Go on.
All right, case number 3. This is November 10th of 1938. 5-year-old Jerry Hayes of...
Shout out Jerry Hayes.
Shout out Jerry Hayes. That was... who knows? This one's in, was it Rock Canyon, Arizona? All right, Jerry Hayes is considered frail because
he's fucking 5.
He has rheumatism, which is a disease causing inflammation and pain in joints and muscles, and the disease can flare up rapidly, stiffening joints and muscles to almost being immobile.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't walk on his own, or he couldn't walk for any kind of long distance on his own. So he's with family and friends on a hunting and camping trip. Naturally, if you take someone like that, it's 1938. Fuck you, don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
Right. All right, walking in the back of the line when he vanishes. No screams or cries for help. No indication of any kind of struggle or fall or anything like that happened. He was just behind him and just gone.
They left him in the back. Well, yeah, it was 1939.
Yeah. Family found nothing.
Where's that one? Where's the 8th kid? I forget his name. Limpy. Where's Limpy?
Yeah, Limpy or Gimpy or... Wasn't it an E? Maybe it was Frail? I don't know. The family found nothing in the immediate search of the area. They search that area and they search where they're coming from. Found nothing. They go to the sheriff, obviously. The sheriff organized a search rescue team. 10 days after the disappearance, over 1,000 people were involved. Early in the search, the sheriff was confused in how the boy went missing. He went missing in a box canyon, which a box canyon is a canyon surrounded by high mountains. So there's no way out. The only way in that canyon is where they came in from. There's no way he could have gotten out any other way. Yeah, one way in, one way out. They searched. The search lasted for over a week and nothing came up. The military ended up being called in, and between the military, the search and rescue team, the police authorities, and the families, all involved covered over 150,000 acres with no sign of the kid. The sheriff's public statement was, "I have no idea what happened." 9 days later, this would be November 19th, 1938, a group of searchers strayed from their regular grid pattern search patrol they were doing and noticed a faint set of tracks going up a mountainside. 1,000 feet up the mountainside, 4.5 miles from the disappearance, they found a body face down, no shoes or socks. Outside in the area had been below freezing temperatures. His jacket was never found.
So something ran him up the mountain, and it was so cold he
Here's the
died,
thing.
and the thing says, I don't know.
He's 1,000 feet up the hill, 4.5 miles from where he disappeared. He has rheumatism.
Yeah, something snatched him.
But why would he take his shoes and socks off? And his jacket, for that matter, in cold temperatures? Shoes and socks were off, and his jacket was never found.
The aliens would do it. I don't know why a Bigfoot would take their clothes off.
I think that's rape.
Perverted Bigfoot.
Yeah. Why don't you take that there jacket off?
Yeah, I would lean more towards aliens than this Bigfoot thing, man.
What if it's perverted aliens?
What if it's ghosts?
What if perverted aliens are Bigfoots?
What if the last one had to be goats, man? Up the side of a mountain? Where the fuck does a goat live? I bet he was surrounded by tin cans
Bet you they never even thought of that.
that they hadn't eaten. It would make sense for aliens more so
it
to
would
snatch
make
people out of the
sense.
woods. You know, the aliens don't want to have their glowing hovercraft appear in residential areas. So they would snatch people out of the woods.
There's actually a story that has to do somewhat, I guess, aliens, which I anytime I hear anything about aliens, my brain just automatically just completely dismisses it. Like, and I have that fucking picture up there too, but it's more or less for the phrase than it is like the alien thing. Not that I don't believe.
I dismiss it because of that. Because I want to so badly. I don't want the want to overpower. Like, I want to believe in ghosts, but I will not tell people that I believe in them because I fear that my desire to know of their existence jades my actual opinion in my head, so I stay neutral on it.
I don't. I want to believe, and I don't tell anyone I believe, definitely, like you, but this is where it differs. I won't tell anyone I absolutely believe in all this crazy, like, ghosts and Bigfoot and
Chupacabra.
any kind of paranormal or anything
Jackalope.
like that. I don't tell because there's no concrete evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much a believer of if it's right in front of me, then yes, I'll absolutely believe it. But if it's not, I'm hard-pressed to. Doesn't mean I won't, but I'm hard-pressed to. I'm very much a skeptic in my head.
They find whales and such that they thought were extinct for...
Oh, they found
Tens of
tons
thousands
of
of
things. Whales, the megamouth sharks, a brand new species. They found that one...
Birds they thought were extinct for 100 years or more.
No, they found a shark that they thought was... Or a fish, or I think it was a shark that they thought was extinct for millions of years.
Mm-hmm. Did it
They
immediately...
found it.
Did it die? When
They found... It was a fish. It was over in...
It was fucked up looking. It was in Japan. It was a head.
Yeah.
And then it looked like a spine going off of it.
It turns out like this village in Japan was actually living off it. It was like one of their main meals. And they thought it was extinct for millions of years. And they go over
this
there.
is different.
Well,
Okay.
you know, this is just talk of the fish. Yeah,
They were eating it.
Yeah,
Huh.
just like an
How much
everyday
for a
normal
piece of that
thing.
fucker? How much did you pay for a tuna fish sandwich made out of that?
Million-year-old tuna fish sandwich.
Yeah, I'd pay $50 for it.
Yeah, I would steal a slice of yours so I didn't have to pay $50.
I wouldn't eat it anywhere near anybody.
All right, so yeah, so I'm hard pressed to believe like crazy stuff like that. I like to, I'd really love to, but
What about some alternatives aside from aliens, Bigfoot, sinkholes, spontaneous combustion?
again, I don't know. Unless it's
you
like
entertain that
mass
at all.
psychosis where people just lose complete memory of what they're doing, where they are, just have like an episode.
A magnetic pulse coming through the.
But that's on a scale that's like, and over a period of what 70 plus years. It's on a scale that's just unreal. No wonder why the fucking government would come in and be like, what the fuck is going on? So, I don't know. All right, and this is the fourth case. This is the last one I have written down.
I've gotten goosebumps like 7 times now, and I listen to anything like this with an open ear. I just immediately, like, I picture it like happening in a movie if I have to, just to terrify myself about it.
What I really find interesting is how it's, like I said, right in our backyard. I mean, literally, it's just 20 miles north.
You could go, bro. You're going to Cooperstown for the. You're going there. That's halfway to the Great Lakes.
Yeah, no, it's not. Great Lakes is like
Finger Lakes.
4 hours.
Oh, I
that
thought
way.
the Finger Lakes, right?
No, the Great Lakes.
Okay.
Down Buffalo.
Oh,
Buffalo, Georgia.
yeah. Good
Nice.
team this year.
Yeah, I saw them live yesterday. I mean, last year.
At the
yesterday.
Dome,
It was at the Dome. It was outside in the AstroTurf Dome.
the Poland Spring coaster,
Dell Dome?
the Dell Dome.
Yeah, that's right. It was good. It was cold, warm. It was a warm day, and it was cold in the dome because they had the doors shut.
Yeah, the temperature wasn't too high either.
No.
And the doors were closed.
They were closed. You put domes over our sports arenas.
And there's roofs on the sports arenas too.
Yeah, domes over the roofs.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other way around. It could be the other way around, too.
And it could be vice versa.
Yeah. That would be like twice around the world.
That
Flat Earth.
It would also be like twofold.
2 folds. You could fold the Earth if it's flat.
That would be a whole disbelief of the Earth being round.
Yeah. I don't even believe I think it's round, but it's flat round, not spherical. Oblate spheroid.
That's the greatest. That started off as a troll, I think, on everybody, and then people actually bought into it, and they're legitimate flat earthers now.
Hey, but I don't understand. You don't really. I used to work with a guy, and he might watch this. I don't know.
Shout out, dude.
Shout out, Rich.
Let's tag him and I'll tag him.
Okay. I used to work with a guy that believed in the flat Earth and everything, and
Rich Rachis.
Yeah, Rich Rachis.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not serious, right?
No.
Okay, I can still be friends with him.
Maybe I am serious. I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know.
Charlie would say, like, I don't know, bro. There is certain points, though, like.
Well, he would say that.
The sun rises in the east, but sometimes it rises in the north, bro. Like, why is that?
Well, this guy legit believed in the flat Earth. He believed in the moon landings never happened. He believed that moon is a hologram in the sky.
I watched a whole documentary about the moon landing thing, and I'd say it's 50-50 at this point. I could totally lend believability to the fact that the moon landing never happened. That was a very good documentary.
I'm keeping going. He believes...
It wasn't even a documentary about that. It was about The Shining, and they just had 15 minutes about that. And I was like, yep, word.
He believes in lizard people.
Of
are
course.
in control of, the NWO.
That's They Live. He believes he's Roddy Piper. Like, that's lizard people is a They Live type
Elvis
of.
is a lizard person.
So, now, lizard people are essentially They Live characters, right?
I don't know.
There's humanoids that are real, and then there's people walking amongst us in fakes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's basically. So yeah, he believes in all that. But every time I'd be like, well, how do you explain the Coriolis effect? Which you don't know what the Coriolis effect is. It's the way water goes down a drain. Like it goes down opposite in opposite direction if you go
Yes,
below
in
the southern
Australia.
hemisphere.
Everybody's seen that Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
You have a picture of the Simpsons, I guess?
That's another one that Australia doesn't really exist.
Where'd they put all the convicts to?
I don't know.
Where do I get my kangaroo suits from?
I don't know.
You're saying that's not authentic kangaroo?
That's furry.
I wanted to tell you about something I was listening to on the Howard Stern show about 6 months ago. It was a relatively new, what could have been 3-4 years old, but Billy Corgan was on the Stern show, and he was telling Howard a story about he was doing business with somebody, and he saw the guy. It was somebody in the business in the industry, like a rich guy, I guess. He didn't even say if it was a guy. He tried to be purposely very vague about it, which I felt led credence to the story as opposed to taking away from it. Usually, lack of overemphasis on details is indicative of a liar. But Billy Corgan said that he saw this person change form in front of him, and Howard was like, "He's like, wow, really?" And he said, "Was it a good guy?" And Billy goes, "No, it was not a positive experience. It was a very negative time in my life, and it was a very negative thing that happened." And Howard was like, "Oh shit. Oh, I was hoping. I wish stuff." He just kind of said the perfect thing to go along with him. But I thought it was pretty fascinating. Somebody as famous as Billy Corgan, who's not, he is definitely a fucking weirdo. But him to be going out there saying that it's interesting to hear him talking, picturing him
about the over-the-top
exchanging signing papers to a record label, and there's some guy in a suit, and he doesn't want to sign it, and he looks up at the guy, and he leaves it blank. But what if the guy's face changed into his father's or something, and he's like, "Sign the fucking contract, Smashing Pumpkins, all right?" Imagine that. Devil's advocate, some guy in a dark suit just turns into a different person.
There was a story that again, this is going with this kind of stuff on the crazier end of it. This guy was painting a sign. This is somewhere near some kind of national park, painting a sign, and he said, he goes, "I suddenly felt," he goes, "you know the feeling when someone's standing behind you and you just feel their presence?" He goes, "I felt that, but it was like the most uneasy feeling I've ever had." He goes, "And I was kept working, and the guy asked me, it's like, how do you get to this park or whatever?" He goes, "I'm kind of lost." And he goes, and first thing in my mind is, we're on one main road. It's like, how do you get lost? He's like, well, he goes, so I answered him, you go, down this road X amount, and then make this turn, you'll be there. And he kept painting, and the guy was quiet behind him, didn't say anything. And he goes, I didn't hear him walk away. And then he goes, so I turn around just to look at him, and he goes, I shit you not, the guy had no face. And it was just a split second, and he goes, and then it's like my brain popped, and all of a sudden it was a face again, and nothing. And he just looked at me, and he goes, I don't know where it is. Could you bring me there? And he goes,
no.
He goes, no, I got to finish my job. So he goes, I turned back around, I started painting, and the guy still didn't leave. And he goes,
and he's not painting because it has to be done by 4 o'clock. He's painting because he's in a horrified state.
Yeah. And he goes,
oh my God! What the fuck?
He goes, the guy asked again, he goes, I really don't want to get lost. Could you bring me there? He goes, no, I got to go. So he gets in the pickup truck he's got. Or no, the guy goes, okay, he walks away. He goes, I can call you a cab. This is what happened. He goes, I can call you a cab and they can come get you. He goes, no, don't. With stern, and turns and walks away. He goes, I get down off the ladder and get into my truck, and I turn around, and he's nowhere to be found. He's at the line of the woods, the wood line, which is
500 yards away.
Decent, I don't know about that far, but a decent distance away.
400 yards.
I don't know how. He goes, I don't know how he got there so fast. He said, so I fucking booked the shit. He goes, fuck the job, I'm done today. Got in his truck and he took off. And he said, he looked behind him in the rearview mirror, and he goes, the guy took this abnormally large step into the woods, and almost like he just dissolved away. And he goes, that was that. I was done. So there's crazy stories like that. He's just talking about people just shifting more. You want
to hear my ghost story?
Shape shifting or whatever. Fucking crazy shit.
I've got a ghost story.
Whatever I just said.
So I used to work at a place called Fiberglass Industries, FGI.
Yeah, FGI.
It was a building that was built before the turn of the century, so it was over 100 years old. It's a huge building.
I've been in there before.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
Dean Guidon, he worked there. He was a boss there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He before they shut down, this is years ago.
You were on Edson Street.
Wherever.
The newer facility. The one I'm talking about is by the clock tower building.
It had 4 smokestacks in it.
No, this one's a 120-year-old, very old, super old building, over 120 years old.
This is the one up on the hill I'm talking about, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
So I'm in the basement, and presumably people died even in the construction of the thing. And if the building is 120 years old, people have died in there. And people always would tell ghost stories about it, crazy stories about seeing people with black faces. And it was weird in the basement. I would work down there alone, and sometimes static would go through the PA system, probably because it was old, but it would just crack sometimes, and that was very strange.
Right.
And the one most paranormal thing that's ever happened to me, there was an old style CD player with a push button power button. and I went to turn it on, and my finger was about an inch away from the button, and it turned itself on. And I froze for a second, and in that second, my brain instinctively, I can explain my entire thought pattern. I was dumbed down to my brain going, I didn't press the button. That shouldn't be on right now. That's not supposed to be on. So I turned it off instead. I didn't do anything. I only hit the button once. And I've asked people if
Nope.
static could shoot an inch from my finger to the power button and activate that stereo. Maybe that's possible. The mere presence of my finger. Stereos can kick on their own. Sometimes I imagine maybe that's my one in a lifetime experience where my finger is that close to it and the fucking thing turns on, which I've never known one to do. But
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but
neither have I. But that's
Crazier
my
shit,
that's
yeah.
my weirdest story. Just of my finger was an inch away from that power button, the fucking thing turned on, my brain froze, I turned it off, and then said, "What the fuck happened?" Then I ran and cried. Never went back to that basement again. No, I did.
not by chance.
It was weird though.
Not voluntarily.
That's a very mundane story, but that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I know if I went
Do you have any sort of paranormal ghost story?
I have a laundry list of them. We'll save that for a different episode.
I love when people that I actually respect and take their opinions seriously tell me these stories, you know?
Yeah, I'll do that one on a separate episode. I could do that one for a whole episode, just fucking a lot of different stories. Some of them are kind of mild or tame, I guess. And just stuff that kind of just makes something like just make me scratch my head like fuck that, whatever. Anyway, so all right, this is the fourth case. This one is a little bonkers, like just the way it goes. But all right, so this is the case for. This is Chuck Mielid, I think is his name. I don't know if I butchered that or not, but
Somebody did. Somebody butchered him, his
Yeah.
whole fucking body, so don't worry about his name.
1974.
And that's a relatively recent one,
He
too.
was 19 years old. He was an experienced hiker and photographer.
Born in 1955. Just putting that out there.
Now that I... Oh, it was different. Okay. It was a different place. This was in... he went to Eugene, Oregon on vacation. It was late January. He went to Crater Lake. He was in Eugene, Oregon. He was going to hike to Crater Lake, which is I think it was a couple mile hike. From
He was
where
in Eugene?
Yeah.
Where'd he meet him?
Oh God, I knew that was coming. As soon as I said
So
that.
did he.
So, oh yeah, not yet. He was hiking up to Crater Lake to take photos in the winter. The previous 2 weeks beforehand dropped about 5 feet of snow, and it was really powdery, fluffy stuff. So even with snowshoes and skis and stuff, you were still sinking up to your waist. He went missing during the hike to Crater Lake. His father finds out, he goes missing, drops everything and goes looking for Chuck. Him and his friends find nothing after an extensive land and air search. 17 months later, 2 lost hikers end up in a remote...
You just said 17 months later, and I got goosebumps. You didn't even say what happened yet. You just said that, and I'm just thinking like, oh, Jesus, is he still alive? Is he dead?
2 lost hikers end up in a remote canyon. They're in the canyon. They start walking around trying to regain their bearings. Just walking around exploring this canyon. One of them notices an old backpack that's all torn up. They eventually get back on track and they notify park rangers. The next day, the park rangers search the area and they find skeletal remains. They confirm it's Chuck.
17 months later would not be a skeleton, unless animals had gotten to him and not scattered the skeleton, but picked them all clean.
Here's where it gets odd. The bones were scattered down a hillside. The shoes were missing, left only wearing socks.
But there was socks full of bones?
Foot bones were in the socks.
Huh.
The leg
Vaporized.
bones were not in the jeans, aside from broken shins that were in the jeans. The jeans were unbuttoned, the belt was undone, and it was resting on a log with the socks below it. The rest of him was simply gone.
No bones from the legs up?
Nothing else. So there was no body, no anything.
But it was a full
found the
skeleton?
crown of a skull. They found the crown of the skull that was near the body that was scattered down.
Shattered or cut, probably.
Something. His boots, his coat, and his camera was never found. Just a pair of pants over a log with the socks with the bones in it. Years later, this is 2016, his brother comes out and he writes this on a blog somewhere. It says the reports prior to his disappearance, Chuck has visited a nearby store. The clerk stated that he was visually upset about something. He bought a needle and thread to repair his coat he was wearing at the time.
This is during the 17 months where he was missing?
This is before he went on that hike to Crater Lake, so before he actually disappeared. Said he was visually upset about something. He was on foot. This is during the winter, so it was heavy snow. There's no snowmobile or anything. So wherever he was on foot. And that's the last they had seen of him. The questions that were his brother had left unanswered was, how did he get through total of 7 feet of snow with no anything, just his basic boots and everything, and why did he take his shoes off? Again, this is in January, so it's in the dead of winter, and that's how they find it.
Fucking scary, man. I am scared. I'm gonna be scared driving home. I'm staying here tonight.
Fuck.
Well, I'm not gonna be scared driving home, bro. I'm actually not scared at all. What do you think? What do you say about we do a 13-hour podcast? How's that sound? Sounds fun, right? Me and you, just the boys, the bros, kicking it back.
I don't have enough memory card space for
man.
that.
No, we don't even have to record. We'll just chill. We'll practice for the next one. Come on, it'll be cool, man.
So that's a really
that's fucking scary.
Those 4 cases is, if you want to go and look at all the cases, there are so many fucking cases in the missing 411 or just these disappearances. I keep calling it the missing 411.
No, I have to say that it's way too fortunate. There was probably 415 people or 409 at the time when he wrote the book, but the missing 411 is catchy. It sounds like the missing information. There definitely was not exactly a 411 people when he padded that number.
I think that's what it is, just the missing. No, it's not. It's supposed to be the missing 411. So because everything's just fucking.
I thought you said there was 411 people that were missing.
No.
Okay.
If you look.
That is the whole title of it. I got you.
Yeah.
How about number stations?
Number stations.
They're AM radio stations that will just continuously play a sound or a voice.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
That's pretty creepy too.
Yeah.
It'll just be a woman with a French accent counting down in a 9 to 1 over and over, and it's been going on for 30 fucking years and nobody knows why.
There was I don't know if it was 9 to 1, but there was one where it was
French numbers.
It was a sequence of numbers.
Yes.
And they couldn't figure out what the hell it meant or anything, and then just one day it stopped. And that was that.
That's like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that somebody's running through some super advanced decoder system and just to mock people. That's very weird. It's all very weird. I don't like it.
I love all of it.
It's scary.
I listen to this shit before I go to bed. I just sit there with one headphone in and I'm just listening to all this kind of shit.
As a grown man, if I'm outside, I don't have to be scared, but if I focus, I can literally scare myself outside in the dark in any situation.
Oh, your imagination will just create worlds.
I can purposely scare the fuck out of myself.
Yeah, your imagination will go create a whole world.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Love it.
One thing that I will go to as my standard scare the shit out of myself is a possessed African.
You a fucking masochist?
A possessed African villager with 4 arms and 1 leg. And it's usually a chick with blue eyes and maybe sharp, maybe fucked up teeth, hopping at me with 4 arms on 1 leg, hissing out of the darkness. That's one thing I think of that'll just scare the fuck out of me.
I think I'd be more entertained about that.
No.
Boom.
No way, that's scary. Or just ghosts. Goats, I could just think of goats and scare the piss out of myself, dude.
I don't know.
Goats, how their eyes are fucking rectangles. How they do that, bro? Can we rename this podcast? How they do that, bro?
How they do that, bro? I don't know. That could be a show quote. What was the other one? Weird semen. That was the other show quote.
I don't know.
that was a whole. Oh my god, it was a wasted podcast, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Yep. Next one will go better. We're all doing coke.
Yeah, that would be
Got
great.
This glass table right here.
Oh, where's the strippers?
We done with the podcast in 5 minutes. Was that an hour and a half, bro? 5 minutes.
Awesome. We got time to do another one. Yeah, but there's a lot of shit. A lot of shit out there.
What else do we have? So you would believe in a Bigfoot type animal before alien?
For this kind of stuff?
I think,
or just in general?
In general. I think statistically the odds for aliens are much higher than Bigfoot.
Yeah. I think...
And I know there are deeply unexplored areas of the woods.
Like I said,
no, they're both equal, I'd say.
When I hear no, they're not anywhere near equal. There is so much more space out in space.
Okay, yeah.
Not even close. Not even close. I just think that the chances of there being an animal that we haven't discovered, I don't know. There probably is a better chance of there being alien. But here's what I think is like, you turn on the news, you just look at the news, and you're like, why the fuck would any kind of intelligent life come and look at us and just visit us? We're a bunch of fucks.
To set up cameras and broadcast it on their planet.
Yeah.
Look at this. They're eating each other's asses. What the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah.
They're going to storm Area 50. We're going to go see Uncle Dale there.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that Area 51 shit just so we can put it in
we might as well. We might as well.
So we can put it in the tagline and fucking post it to that stupid group?
Why not? We might as well just because...
and if you're in that group, you're like me and him, and you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys go. I hope everybody goes.
I got invited to this group. I didn't know what the fuck I was getting in. And I just thought it was some stupid... I had no idea it was a fucking movement or whatever the hell. I was like, oh yeah, Area 51. So I was thinking it's like, oh, it's just gonna be paranormal shit, or just people like sharing off the wall fucking stories, like for entertainment. Why not? So I click on it, I join it, and next thing I know, it just blows up. It's like, it's like a saying where, you don't hear about something until someone brings it up, and all of a sudden it's fucking everywhere. Like, oh, there's a bear shitting around in everyone's backyard. It's like, well, I didn't fucking see it. And the next day it's fucking following you. So it's like one of those kind of things. I didn't know anything about this Area 51 thing. And then it's like, hey, join this group. So I join it. And then literally like a day or two later, it's fucking on the news. It's like all over. Everyone's joined. Fucking actors and actresses are like, oh, I'll be there at Area 51. What the fuck
I'd
is
say
all this
mostly
shit?
all of those are fake. It's probably C-list level celebrities.
Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I just know it's everywhere. And there's over 1 million people like in it. Like 1.1, 1.5, whatever, 1 million people.
You see the one with George Bush that says, oh, the old CIA thinks they can hide aliens. Let's see if they see a couple planes coming.
Yeah. So I don't know.
What are you going to do with your alien, bro?
Fuck it.
Yeah, that's the first instinct.
I think everyone's going to.
That'd be weird.
Here's what I got to... Do you really think they have over 1 million aliens there? Or is everyone just going to have to share like 6?
Oh, wouldn't that be... What if...
Because I definitely not having sloppy 30s or 40s or 100s or seconds even.
What if all these fucking retards got... All these...
No, you're right.
Yeah, I'm in it. I'm already in it. All these retards. What if they all storm Area 51 and there's only like 6 aliens and they gang rape them to death? And then the aliens from their planet are like, what the fuck? Bomb them.
Yeah. You assholes are going to fucking kill us all.
Yeah.
Good job.
Turns into like India, like a bus in India.
I did see something. I thought it was. I don't know if it's just you. Someone shared something in one of those things. Like, what if like storming Area 51 releases a T virus that ends up setting off the zombie apocalypse that was supposed to be forecasted like 7 years ago in 2012? Like, what if it does? Releases a fucking T virus, and now we have Albert Wesker mutated, killing everybody.
At least one person has to show up for this shit.
I can almost guarantee. I'm almost willing to bet like my life savings, like everything I own that says somebody on that date will be there.
I bet you there'll be a lot of parties within a 51-mile radius of there where people are like, yeah, let's drink, and then we'll go, then we'll get drunk and be like, dude, let's not really go.
It's like, we're gonna fucking get shot.
This chick's got on an alien costume.
That's funny too. Is like the government was like, if you go and there's a significant amount of people, we will defend the base. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I gotta see this. Like, I'm waiting for this. This is either gonna be like the ultimate Tiananmen Square massacre.
I saw a breakdown. They have the Kyles in the lead and the Juggalos behind them, and the stoners and the gamers. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want an alien because my first instinct would be to force him into slavery and make him do shit for me, and that would be wrong. So I'd have to provide him with a decent life, and I don't want to fucking do that.
What if they force us into slavery? Like they release them.
I don't want to do that either.
They release them, and then all of a sudden we become slaves. It's like 6 aliens fucking enslaved.
I don't want to be a slave though.
Yeah, it sucks.
I just tell them, dude, I'm not into this. I don't want to do it. I like free will.
Yeah.
You think they'd probably let me go, right?
It'd be like Office Space. Like, I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
She's gonna revolt? No. She's not going to do it.
Take off my laser cuffs. No.
Yeah.
No, sir.
I don't want to. My laser cuffs. These things are burning.
What do you think aliens would look like? Like Mr. Burns when he's all has radiation on him.
Everyone always says the whole gray alien thing.
That's scary as fuck to me. I was horrified of that when I was a little kid. When I was 4, 5, 6 years old, I would see commercials for those silly programs on Fox that would have Close Encounters alien stories. And if it was a commercial and they would show like a sketch artist drew an alien face, I would scream and cry hysterically and hide under the blankets for 15 to 20 minutes until my mother came into the room and I was like, "Ma, there was an alien on TV," and she'd have to comfort me and I'm like, "Whoa." And
fucking alien.
I have a memory of being about 5 years old, very young, sleeping on the second floor and going, I can't go to sleep. What if there's aliens? My mother or father said, "You're on the second floor. They can't bother you." And I go, what if they have really long legs and they can look in the window?
And they
Solid
do.
logic. And they do.
So you must have saw the movie The Fourth Kind.
Were there owls?
Yeah.
I did. I've actually forced myself to watch that, and
Awesome
parts of it did
fucking
freak
movie.
me the fuck out when
Awesome
she was
movie.
under hypnosis, and a lot of that I wouldn't want to watch it again. I knew it would probably freak me the fuck out. I don't know why I watched it. That goes against.
So aliens is your Achilles heel.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, as an adult,
Something new every day.
if I see a particularly or particularly creepy drawing of an alien, I'll be like, "Oh, I don't like that." It doesn't freak me the fuck out. But when I was a kid, that and Chucky,
Just uncomfortable.
an alien head and Chucky's face. I would go to video stores and have my mother be like, have to tell me if there's a Chucky poster so I wouldn't look at it.
Really?
Chucky and aliens.
Chucky, I remember
fucked me
gave me nightmares when as a kid, like for a week, according to my mother. I watched it. My father let me watch it, but
The first one?
yeah, it was
Cool. The gruesome one?
But like now, I don't know. Now, no, I think the things that really get me now are just like actual physical. Like I said before, like the cutting of the Achilles heel.
Yep.
Like that makes my fucking skin crawl. It's like ah.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
I hate that.
Because you can imagine it happening to yourself.
Yeah, I kind of like almost feel it. It's awful.
I don't like watching arm wrestling videos where the arm snaps.
the arm snaps.
The
It's awful
suspense
too.
is too much for me. You
I
know?
was like, I'm done with that.
If you got a guy getting sucked into a jet engine, turn that shit on. Put it in slow-mo. You know, you got a guy a leg kicking a guy, and his leg wraps around the other
remember
guys.
that
I don't really
UFC
want to see
thing?
that. That's happened like 3 times now, at least.
I just remember the one where that happens, and he goes and steps back on it, and just falls over. I watched that. I'm like,
Oh,
no. Psycho Sid's leg break. That was brutal too.
that was pretty bad. Yeah, didn't Anderson Silva also horrifically break his leg in some sort of?
Maybe, I don't know.
There's one where that guy's knee literally exploded. Derek something on a basketball court.
I don't know either. Derrick Rose?
Yeah,
Wow. I didn't know about that. I know he always has problems with his fucking knees and shit.
I do watch a lot of basketball. You know that about me.
Oh, yeah, I know. You're a fucking fanatic.
I'm this close to knowing the rules.
Yeah.
I know what the top of the key means.
Way fucking further. I don't even know what that means. So.
Yeah, you do.
I don't pay attention to basketball.
Oh.
I really don't. I tried, and I like it better than NASCAR. I cannot do NASCAR.
I can do the last.
I think aliens
I
drive
can do the
NASCAR.
last 10 laps. You ever just watch the last 10 laps of a NASCAR race?
No.
That's good. That's what they're working. And
So it's like a video game. Well, we got 10 laps. Let's go.
the fans are in a pitch. The commentators are in a pitch. The drivers are really going for it. The last 10 laps are exciting because it's the fucking end of it.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it's
if
like a
you're
highlight video then.
yeah. I mean, if you're watching it live, if it happens to be on the TV, watching the last 10 laps of a NASCAR thing is cool.
10 laps of NASCAR.
Try it sometime,
I just
bro.
watch baseball. Hall of Fame is tomorrow, this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going tomorrow. At the time of this recording, it'll be tomorrow. So by the time this goes up, it'll probably be yesterday. And I'm going tomorrow at the time of this going up. But the recording will be 3 days from now, 2 days from now, 3 days from now. So it'll be tomorrow on the recording, 3 days from now. So yesterday and tomorrow, I'll be there at the time of this going up, probably. I just lost you.
Are you a skinwalker, bro? Hey, hold on. If Rich goes with you, what percentage of the time do you think he's going to spend talking about the size of these athletes' dicks and like locker room talk, like 50-50?
100 fucking percent. Are you kidding me?
Do you think he will ask any of these guys how their dick is doing? Like, hey, fucking Randy Johnson, how's your fucking big unit, bro?
Did you explode that bird with that big unit?
I heard you put that on, what's that guy, David Hobbs, the Yankee pitcher. Was it David Hobbs? The guy who, he's a bow...
Oh, what?
He's the Tank Abbott looking motherfucker. He hunts grizzly bears with a bow and arrow. He threw a perfect game.
David Cone?
Pitcher. No, he's a pitcher.
David Wells.
Yes, David Wells.
David Wells and David
Yeah.
Cone are both pitching. They both threw perfect games 1 year after the other.
Wells had a hangover or some shit, and he's like a every
Maybe.
man. Yeah.
He definitely looks like someone.
He bow hunts grizzlies with a bow. Ironically enough, that's the most dangerous way to bow hunt grizzlies is with a bow.
It's either that. I think the only step down you can get
A decorative bow is more dangerous. It's like, hey, I got this bow. Gah!
Oh, look at this. What's that? Yeah, he's definitely be asking for cockpits and everything else, and probably get numbers like you do with wrestlers.
Yeah.
So he's really no different than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all the same on the inside.
All the same.
Except for fucking skinwalkers. Fuck them. I'm scared.
Charlie's a skinwalker.
Charlie's a skin something.